All right, everybody. Happy New Year and welcome back to Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR. I'm Gonzo.
I'm Mike.
As usual, in this new year, Michael, we're going to discuss some of the best and worst films from the 80s, 90s, and who knows from where else, right? So we're going to give you our take. We'll make a recommendation. We'll give each movie a rating. And I'm excited about this one for the start of the year. How about you, Mike?
Hoorah.
Yeah. And you said that for a reason for this one, right? So let's get started. Is your cell phone silenced, Michael?
It is.
Mine is as well. I'm double checking that right now. There we go. So this episode, we're checking out 1986 war film produced, directed, and starring. So I guess I should say produced by, directed by, and starring Clint Eastwood. The film is Heartbreak Ridge. And man, this one did pretty well. It grossed 121.7 million at the box office against a budget of about 15 million. So that's pretty solid. It won the BMI Film Music Award for music by Lenny Niehaus and the Image Award in the category of Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture for Mario Van Peebles. Can you believe this?
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. Okay. Roger Ebert, this surprised me, Mike. He gave it 3 out of 4 stars. He said it has as much energy and color as any action picture this year. He said that back in the 86, obviously. He said, and it contains truly amazing dialogue. It's got a 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, Heartbreak Ridge. Mike, this is one of your picks. So I'm going to let you, for those who haven't seen it, and for those who've seen it, but it was a long time ago, I'm let you going to refresh everyone on the plot. Give it a shot, man.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, it is 1983, and we first see Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Tom Highway, played by Clint Eastwood, in jail for drunk in public and urinating on a police car. So, after getting released, Gunny gets a transfer back to his old unit, 2nd Recon Battalion, located at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. But en route, Stitch Jones, played by Mario Van Peebles, who seems like just this random musician, gets on the same bus as Highway. The following morning at a diner, Jones steals money from Highway along with his bus ticket, leaving Highway stranded. Well, when Highway finally arrives at Camp Lejeune, his new commanding officer, Major Malcolm Powers, played by Everett McGill, assigns him to one of his recon platoons, where he finds Stitch Jones, the one who stole money from him. So Stitch just happens to be one of the Marines in the platoon. The previous platoon sergeant had let the Marines get soft and lazy, but Highway is determined to bring back discipline, training, and expectations. The Marines are initially hopeful that their huge muscle buddy, the Swede, will get out of the brig, take out Highway, and return things to the way they were. However, Gunny is Clint Eastwood, so we know that's not going to happen. After Gunny meets Swede and just about knocks him unconscious, the whole platoon begins a physical and mental transformation and eventually gained respect for Highway. Major Powers hates Highway's training methods and approach, which seem outdated to him. The Major sees Highway's platoon as just a training tool for his primary platoon and arranges for the platoon he leads to beat Highway's men in every field exercise. However, Gundy knows his job is to train his Marines, keep them alive, so that results in a lot of the movie's conflict, like the platoon free for all in a water pit, where Gunny Highway and the Major eventually face off, and the Major kicks Gunny's ass. I'm only joking, of course. Highway almost drowns the Major and then drags him to dry land. Throughout the movie, we see Highway attempting to adapt his mindset to romance his ex-wife Aggie, played by Marsha Mason, who works as a cocktail waitress at a local bar and is dating the bar's marine-hating owner, Roy, played by Bo Svensson. Highway is constantly reading women's magazines, almost like they're training manuals for understanding females, so he can better relate to his ex-wife. Aggie tentatively reconciles with Highway partway through the movie, but they're not exactly really back together. Towards the end of the film, following what has been a type of boot camp for his active duty recon platoon of Marines, Gunny Highway's unit is deployed for the invasion of Grenada, which was a real conflict that happened back in 1983. So, through a series of tactical maneuvers, Highway's platoon rescues a group of American medical students and captures a hill on the island. Throughout the action, the platoon's radio man Profile is killed. The Marines use a credit card to call in air support over a landline, which actually happened in Grenada, and Gunny Highway is shot. At the end of the action, Major Powers arrives with Staff Sergeant Webster, reprimands Lieutenant Ring, and threatens Highway with a court martial, essentially because the Major's platoon didn't get any of the glory. However, the commanding officer of the regiment to which Powers' battalion belongs, Colonel Myers, is a veteran who served in the same battalion as Highway in the Vietnam War. So the colonel arrives by helicopter, and after learning of what happened, he commends Highway and tells Major Powers that he needs to go back to his old military occupational specialty as a supply officer for discouraging the recon Marines' fighting spirit. So in the end, Highway and his men are welcomed back to the States with a Marine band playing and a huge crowd cheering them on. Jones informs Highway that he's going to reenlist and make a career in the Corps, while Highway tells Stitch that he'll be leaving the Corps and retiring. Aggie waits for Highway in the stands, and the two of them walk off together as the band plays and the credits roll.
There you go. That's pretty good, man. That's it's you've been practicing at this.
There's
I,
a lot going on in this movie.
there is. I don't know much else that there's anything I've got to add. So good job on that, man. So first take, man. So I'm going to talk about this. I definitely had seen this movie before we watched it to prep for this, and it wasn't in a theater. I know that, and I believe I may have been in the army when I saw it. So this came out in '86. I went in the army in '88. So, but I'm not sure. I can't tell you exactly. And clearly, this is your pick. So you'd seen this before. When did you first see this? Did you see this in the theater?
I'm like you. I know I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it before I joined the Marines in the 90s. And like you, I've seen it multiple times.
And how'd you like it, man? I mean, when you first remember first seeing it, were you like, "This is awesome"?
Oh,
What did you
yeah.
think?
Oh, yeah. When I saw it, I loved it. If for no other reason, because it was Clint Eastwood. And to me, Clint Eastwood's kind of like Tom Cruise. He almost isn't capable of making a bad movie. I mean, that doesn't mean there's not one or two out there that I wouldn't sit through again. But Clint Eastwood is good, in front of or behind the camera.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know though, man. I'm thinking every which way but loose.
Oh, I
Um,
loved it.
so, so yeah, I'm surprised that's not on your list here for us to look at, man. So yeah. Now the reason I said I'm pretty sure I was in the army when I saw this because I thought it was funny in parts.
Yeah.
And it's Clint Eastwood playing Clint Eastwood, which I love Clint Eastwood, right?
Hmm.
And but I thought it was annoyingly unrealistic. One, I'm going to touch this several times throughout. Recon platoon, anywhere you have them, they're not a bunch of bums like these guys are portrayed to be. They're like the cream of the crop, rather, right? And some of the combat scenes, terribly unrealistic. The way they're not taking cover, and the worst thing for me is the Swede. Listen, let me tell everyone out there, every Rambo fan out there, M60 is machine gun is a crew served weapon, right? I used to be an assistant gunner for M60, meaning I'm carrying spare barrels, I'm carrying the tripod, I'm carrying extra ammo, right? It's a two-man deal. No one walks around and carries it and shoots from the hip. And they had Swede doing that, like Rambo, and he was actually shoulder firing it too, which this is not how this is thing. So that right there is killing me throughout this movie, but it's funny movie. And it's, if I'm saying, hey, did this entertain me? Yes, it entertained me. All right. So there you go. So we want to talk about the main characters here, like we always do here. So of course, the main character, Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Tom Highway. So played by Clint Eastwood. How do you think he did here, man?
Dude, there is no one else who could have played this role. Like you said, it's Clint Eastwood playing Clint Eastwood. The thing I would add to that is I agree. And there's also this other side because it's almost like Clint Eastwood retiring from being Clint Eastwood. It's a complex character where he shows that tough, competent Marine, but also the reality of what happens when you realize that that life is coming to an end. You can tell Gunny Highway looks at these young, naive Marines and everything he's been through. Because what did they say? He had been 3 tours in Vietnam. He had been in the Korean War. So he's been through enough to know what can happen to these guys if he fails them in his leader as the leader. And in terms of previous movie, we've already touched on this. Clint Eastwood has been in almost too much to name. He's been in all the Dirty Harry movies, the Man with No Name westerns, to include The Unforgiven, Kelly's Heroes, Gran Torino, Escape from Alcatraz, and just like you said, Every Which Way But Loose, and that incredible sequel, Any Which Way You Can.
There you go. There you go. So
Yeah,
yeah, he did a great job at this. I
yeah.
mean, if you came to me and said, Steve, there's a movie coming out, and Clint Eastwood is going to play a gunnery sergeant in the Marines who has to whip a bunch of guys into shape, like
Mhm.
I know what's happening, right? This is exactly what's going to happen here. It's exactly how you thought Eastwood would play this role. He's the perfect hard ass here. He does, I think, because he's directing now, he's getting into characters a little bit more. So he shows that the vulnerable side where he's trying to understand his ex-wife, and he's still in love with her and wants to get her back, and so he's not all perfect, and he is getting older. But Clint Eastwood overall did a great job here. Exactly what I would expect. He's one of my favorites since I was a kid. Like
Oh yeah.
you mentioned those spaghetti westerns. Those are just great, and the music to those too, obviously, right?
Mhm.
And then one of my favorites. You mentioned Kelly's Heroes. We definitely should talk about that one day on here. And
Yeah.
I think that's 70s though, right? But maybe early 70s, could be even I don't think it's in the 60s, but then one of my favorites is the Eiger Sanction, where he plays an assassin. It's really cool movies that he's been in. So he's versatile, but he sort of always plays the guy who's tough, and he's going to get through
Mhm.
things. But just tons and tons of movies. He does a great job.
Absolutely.
And of course, I say perfect guy to pick for this, but I mean, he's directing and producing, so of course he's picking himself, right?
Mhm.
So want to go to the next guy? I sort of put um, this group of main characters we're talking about. They don't have huge parts, but I sort of put them. These are Highway and his supporters, right? So Sergeant Major J. Choose who is this guy's name? He's played by Arlen Dean Snyder. I think this guy was like an experienced senior enlisted guy. He played a great job here. He's very believable in this role. Um, and like he's old friends with Highway, and he's just supporting him all the way. He understands Highway, and he knows what he's getting. Like, hey, when you take this product off the shelf, this is what you get. And he's not
Mhm.
trying to change him. He's like, hey, I can use this guy, play to his strengths, and he's going to do a great job for me. So I think he did a great job. I know he's been in a bunch of other stuff, and I'm sure you're going to educate me here, but I don't know of offhand any other roles he was in. So what did you think about Arlen Dean Snyder playing the Sergeant Major here?
No, I agree. He would have been an awesome sergeant major, I think, to serve under because he was low key, he was common sense. When you reach the rank of sergeant major, like it kind of gets political, and so he knew how to play the political game without being a brown noser. So I think that's the thing that stood out to me. But he was loyal to Highway no matter what. And you probably thought about this too. They came up together.
Yep.
Now, Gunny, for those in the military, was an E7.
Yep.
Uh, Sergeant Major is an E9. And I'm thinking they came up together, but Gunny Highway got busted two or three times. And
Yep.
if he hadn't got busted, he'd either be a Sergeant Major or a Master Gunnery Sergeant
Yeah.
himself. In terms of uh, Arlen Dean Snyder himself, I was kind of like you. I'm sure he's had a long and storied career. The only thing that I saw he had been in that I had seen before was Marked for Death, an old, what was that, 90s Steven Seagal movie?
Oh yeah. Okay. He was in that. What did he
Yeah.
play in that?
But again,
Was
he was
Mark
a
for
bit,
Death the one where he was like there was like the Rastafarian killer? Was
dude,
that the
they're
one?
all the same movie to me. I love them. They're entertaining, but I get lost in who the bad guys
That was sort
are.
of back before everyone realized what's his name? Who's that actor? The lead actor in that.
Oh, Steven
Yeah,
Seagal.
that's before everyone realized Steven Seagal is like a little bit crazy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So I almost want to watch Mark for Death now to see what role he played in there. But
I
um,
think you're right though. I think those are the Rastafarians are the bad guys in
yeah,
that.
like he goes to Jamaica and he beats everyone up, and the guy's got like a samurai sword, like it's a Rastafari with a samurai. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to Aggie Highway. This is his ex, played by Marsha Mason. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
How do you think she did in this role?
I think Aggie is completely believable in terms of being, we use this term in the Marine Corps, y'all may have in the Army too, a lifer's wife, like
Mhm.
somebody who has dedicated their life to, retiring out of the Marine Corps or the Army. She's been through the waiting, she's been through the stress and the tears and the deployments, and she's like just as tough as Highway in terms of being his female counterpart. Just like in the movie where he says something like, "Well, I don't really like the way you say Marine," and she said, I've earned the right to say Marine any damn way I want to."
Yeah.
So I liked her. Um, the other thing in terms of previous roles, and I'd mentioned this to you one time, you and I were talking. If you want a great early '80s family movie that's not too corny, that's got a good plot, she plays the mom to Matthew Broderick and daughter to Jason Robards in Max Dugan Returns,
Oh,
and that
really?
is one of those gems that's kind of gotten lost along the way. What
Okay.
what, what did you think?
Okay, yeah, I thought excellent acting. Excellent acting. She is totally believable as the bitter ex-military wife. Like she's like, she's like, I at this point in her life, she hates the Marines. She doesn't hate Highway, right? But
Yeah,
the problem was he was in love as much with the Marine Corps as he was with her, and that smarts with her, right?
yeah.
So, um, but she does love him, but she just is like, man, I can't, like it was like he thinks it's good news. He's like, I'm back with recon. When he sees
Hmm.
her again, she's like I could give a damn about where you're back with, right? So,
Right.
but she does a great job. I don't remember her in any other roles.
Mhm.
But she's been around. I know she's had other roles. So, I would probably look to see some other. I'm thinking of another Eastwood movie, but I can't place it. But um,
Mhm.
so all right, she did a great job, Marsha Mason. There. Now we're going to move on to the character Mary Jackson, played by Eileen Heckert, and this is the lady who runs like the bar and the place where Highway's like, can I get my old room back? Like he's renting a room from her or whatever, and she's like, of course. And she was like the wife of one of the guys who was on Heartbreak Ridge
Mhm.
with Highway, and Chuzu was there too, right? The Sergeant
Yep.
Major. It was
Yep.
those three were the ones who survived it, but
Mhm.
her husband now has since passed away, and so man, um, this is a nice role for her. It's a small role, but it gives us the link to the history of it all, where she tells the story. This is where you realize when you're talking to her and they're telling the story at the bar, drinking a few beers, why the movie's called Heartbreak Ridge, right? So,
Mhm.
and it's called that for several reasons, right? It's because that's where they were in that famous battle in Korea, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But also now Heartbreak Ridge, like uh, his heart's broken a little bit for me because he's aging out of the Marines and he's going to have to leave that. And then now he's also got he's got a little heartbreak there with his wife. Like there's a lot of reasons for the name to this movie now that I'm thinking about it. Right.
Mhm.
But she's a link. She's been in a lot of stuff, likely before my time. She's a little older, and she was older in '86. And I know, looking back, there'd be a lot of movies that she's been in. How did you like Mary Jackson, played by Eileen Heckert?
Yeah, the one thing I would say about Mary is that to me, she represented something I'd seen a lot when I was down at Camp Lejeune. You would see Marines who would retire, and kind of like Gunny Highway, when the Marine Corps has been your entire life, you would see a lot of Marines retire and still continue to live around Jacksonville or that area or get jobs supporting the Marine Corps because she is part of that family that's never going anywhere, even though she's not officially in the Marine Corps. She's part of that extended family.
Yeah, and a part of that's too the memory of her husband, to keep that memory alive and
Absolutely.
strong. Yeah, so she's it's a good type of person. You're right. There are a lot of people like that army wise too. Sometimes some people just, hey, I did my tour, I'm gone. Some people, it's my life, like it's part of me, and they retire out and they still just want to be maintain some contact, be a part of it. All right. So this is a group of characters here, not all super main characters, but these are like what I call the haters.
Mhm.
Everyone who has a problem with Highway, right? And the first one you already brought him up is Major Malcolm Powers, played by Everett McGill. So how did you think he did in this his role as I'd say Highway's number one hater?
Yeah, Everett McGill is fantastic at playing a complete tool because I remember two other things he was in. He was in Under Siege 2, another Seagal movie. I remember he sprays some CS gas in
Is it
his
Under
mouth like
Siege
it's,
number two? There was two of them.
oh, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you got to be a Seagal super fan for that. And then he was in Silver Bullet
Yeah.
as the priest or the anyway, the holy man in that. Uh, in terms of Major Malcolm himself, Major Powers, he is the worst possible kind of boss to have because he's concerned with himself, how high he can climb. He's definitely gonna, if he stays in the Marine Corps, he's definitely gonna get a lot of his Marines killed with his decisions that are more focused on, hey, is this going to be one of my victories? Am I going to get the glory here? And he'll use his Marines as pawns, and that's just kind of my overall take.
Yeah, yeah. So I think he plays the perfect ass here. But he acts so well. He's such a
Oh,
good actor.
absolutely.
He's such a good actor that you hate him in this, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's what he's supposed to be. So I think it's sort of overdone a little bit on the Annapolis thing. They go back
Hmm.
to Annapolis and talk about Annapolis. Like everyone who went through Annapolis is not like this. Just for people who know,
Yeah.
um, I'm sure there are some people, but there's people who are asses everywhere, right? But and coming out of every type of background. But it was a great role. I do remember him. I mean, because I just hated him in this, and you wanted
Yeah.
him to get dragged out of that water pit. I do remember in his role as Silver Bullet, and you said that he's the religious guy, but hey, I'm
Yeah.
not ruining it for everyone. He's the werewolf,
Oh, yeah.
right? He's the werewolf in Silver Bullet, which by the way is a terrible movie.
Oh,
Um,
I loved it.
Silver
I
Bullet
love
is
werewolf movies.
silver. Yeah, but that one with this stupid wheelchair that goes 70 miles an hour, it is just crazy. I don't, man, that movie is so bad. And
That had Corey Haim in it, didn't it?
yes, it did. And
Oh,
he,
wow. So he
yeah,
had a vampire, and I never thought
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
He had a
There's a
vampire and a
connection. I was
werewolf.
trying to remember his name.
Yeah,
He didn't dress as poorly, Corey Haim did in Silver Bullet, as he did in Lost Boys, but
yeah,
but but he, whatever. Um,
sure.
so yeah, Malcolm Powers, the perfect ass, right? Everett
Hmm.
McGill, hands off to him for playing that great. I want to go to another small part here. Staff Sergeant Luke Webster. This is played by Moses Gunn, who I know we've seen in other things. I can't think
Yeah.
of him, but this is the guy who's running the platoon that Major Malcolm, or Major Powers wants to be his best, shining platoon here. So this guy plays a perfect, like Powers plays the perfect ass. This guy plays the perfect kiss ass. He's always one step behind Highway though, and he's bitter for it. Like, and they even put him a rank down below him, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and he doesn't come across as very much of an expert. At being in the infantry, where like you can believe Highway knows what he's doing, even though the movie's unrealistic in so many ways.
Mhm.
But it's just, man, this guy he just is like, oh, this is how I'm going to get ahead. This is how I'm going to get my E7 by kissing this major's ass, no matter what. And he does it. So how did you like him? And have you seen him in any other things?
I have. He was so to me in this. He was playing against type because when I was coming up, Little House on the Prairie was really a big show, and he played Joe Kagan, who was a really nice guy, really nice character on the show. So here he's playing against type. He's playing kind of that villain. Um, I thought he had some of the best lines in the movie, the funnier lines, like you said, the brown nosing.
Mm.
One of the lines that he said, we used to say to each other all the time in the Marine Corps when we'd be getting ready to go on a hump or something, throwing on our pack. Sir, it would be an honor if you would accompany my platoon today. And we would say that to our lieutenants, our captains, and that
Oh
they
my
knew
God.
what movie it was coming from.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He
So
was awesome.
yeah, yeah. But other roles besides Little House on the Prairie, I know I've seen him. I just can't think of
Oh,
his name.
sure. I'm sure he's been in a lot.
Roger that. So okay, we're gonna go to Roy Jennings. Now, this is the guy who owns a bar that Aggie Highway's ex-wife works at, and he also dates her. Like she's a waitress
Yeah.
there, and he's the owner. He's running this bar. And this is played by Bo Svensson. He's a big, tough-looking dude too. So, how did you think he did in his role? He's the last of the real highway haters we've got here on the list.
Yeah, like you said, he's a big joker. I think Clint Eastwood is around 6'4". Bo Svensson is 6'6". And throughout the movie, what did he grabbed something while he was in the bar when he was breaking up something. It was a bat or a stick, which was to me a nod to his two Walking Tall movies. If you remember him from the Walking Tall sequels, he didn't play in the original. That was Joe Don Baker. And then you had what later on remade with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Um, but to me, that was always like, hey, take this, and it'll remind people of that role. Um, I loved his character in terms of he was definitely a bad guy. He was somebody you weren't supposed to like, but I like the line where he told Aggie that he would take her home, and then he said, like every other night, as he was looking at Gunny Highway with that smile on his face, just to let him know, like, yeah, this has happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was abrasive, very aggressive guy, right? Like
Yeah,
he's getting money from these Marines coming. Like he's near a base. He's got a bar. He's
yeah,
got live music playing and stuff. He's got Marines wanting to come on their time off and buy beer and this is how he's making his living. But he hates them. You know, he's like, I'd chew up Marines and spit them out or something, whatever he's saying, right? And he's in it, like you said, he's in Highway's face about being with Aggie. Um, he plays a good part in this. I think it just doesn't make sense that I think he would be like supportive of the Marines. Hey, let these guys. Hey, don't mess the bar up, but you can have your fun because they're getting money, right? He's making a living off them. I remember him from the Walking Tall series,
mhm,
the real one for everyone. And you mentioned not the one with The Rock, right? That's not the
right.
real Walking Tall.
Yeah.
Although I could say it's entertaining.
Oh,
Give it
yeah,
a
it's a
thumb.
good movie.
Yeah. So, but it's not the real one. And you know the original Walking Tall, um, uh, uh, actually from my memory, Mike, correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong. Like the first one, that was based on somewhat of a true story. Like I
Yep.
mean, it was embellished a lot of how it
Hmm.
happened, but people were like, "Hey, this sheriff's busting out corruption somewhere." Down south, and like they're gonna take him out, right? They ended up taking him out at the end of the movie, didn't they?
Yeah,
Or
Buford Pusser.
yeah, yep.
And honestly, you may be right. I can't remember what happened to him at the end of the
Yeah, I
movie.
feel like his car wrecked or something because they had sabotaged it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was a young kid when I saw it. So, but anyway, yeah, he does a good job as a hater, right?
Hmm.
Big time hater. So I'm going to talk about the recon platoon. There's a lot of guys we could talk about here. I'm talking about the bigger roles that we're aware of, right? Because we don't want to. We can go on and talk about 20 guys. I'm not going to do that here. But the bigger roles of the platoon, and you know, some of them were, a lot of them were haters of
Hmm.
Highway at first, but I put them sort of in a separate category here because by the end they weren't, right? So, and we're going to start with First Lieutenant M.R. Ring, played by Boyd Gaines. He's the platoon leader. So I'm just going to let you talk about how you think he did in this role.
So he played a boot lieutenant perfectly, in my opinion. I mean, he showed a lot of potential as an officer. He trusted and delegated to his senior staff NCO, Gunny Highway, like any new officer should. But he was still learning how to navigate the politics. He was naive. Didn't Gunny Highway say to, or am I thinking of a different movie where he said to, does your mother know you're playing Marine? But he may not have said that to his lieutenant. That may have been to somebody else. But in terms of the actor, Boyd Gaines, I don't know if you remember, he was Coach Brackett in Porky's,
I don't remember that, man.
only the finest in early 80s comedies.
Jeez. Oh man. So yeah, again, I think a little bit overdone here as the clueless lieutenant, but he's believable. Like you said, he played like brand new lieutenant, but I mean,
Mhm.
dude, come on, like they're not all that bad. So they really embellished it,
Yeah.
just to make the point. But he does. I'll give it to you. He toughens up a bit in the end. Now maybe he's
Mhm.
still clueless, but he's like, "Hey, I'm on board with Highway. I'm on board
Yeah.
with these guys. Let's go do this, right?" And
Yeah.
and he's you could tell he's trying to learn from Highway and listen, and so he gets a little tougher by the end.
And he
Um,
stands up, like to your point, he stands up for Highway, even though you can tell he's terrified to do so.
yeah, he's terrified of major powers, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but he does stand up, and Highway gives him that little out in the hallway, sir. He was like, recon, like you
Yeah.
can go in there and take your butt whooping, but just remember,
Mhm.
you're one of the team. You're one of us. We
That's
got your
right.
back, right? So
Recon.
yeah. So okay, we're gonna move on to Corporal Stitch Jones, played by Mario Van Peebles. So this guy has charisma, but I really don't like him. He's a terrible entertainer in the movie.
Yeah.
Um, he's like break dancing.
Hmm.
He's trying to play like metal guitar. He's dressed like a fool. I don't know how. Like I feel it hurts me for Eastwood as much as I like him in general to say that hey, this is a good way to portray some guy who's in the Marine who would try to be an entertainer as well. I just think it's terrible. He's been in a lot of other roles. It's too cheesy for me because he was a famous guy from the 80s, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's probably he's been in other roles in
Hmm.
more Mike type of movies than
Oh, I'm not even sure
Steve
what that means.
Steve type of movies because I'm like I can't think of any role that he's been in. I'm sure you're gonna fill me in here. How do you think he did?
Um, he was so irritating to me initially. If I had to say something, I think he did well at the role because I'm guessing he was supposed to be irritating. He was supposed to be overbearing. So I think he nailed it in terms of what he was supposed to do. But my favorite thing, I guess he had to be irritating at the beginning so we could see the growth throughout the movie. The way his loyalty, the way his respect for Highway grew. Like you said, the rap and rock songs Mario Van Peebles actually wrote and performed those for the movie. They were incredibly bad. I
Yes.
mean, I don't care if you like rap or rock, what, and I can only guess that Mario was having fun and he was like, because I think it kind of played too when he re-enlisted at the end and he kind of told Gunny Highway, it's like, I think I've got a brighter future in the Marine Corps than I've got in music. Um, and you mentioned other movies. I don't know if you've seen Posse. I've seen Posse.
I have not.
Incredible movie, if for no other reason. So you can see Tone Loc as a cowboy, and then New Jack City.
Okay, he was in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a good movie. I don't know if you've seen New
Posse,
Jack City.
I know I've seen New Jack City, but I can't remember. Posse, the fact when you're talking about Tone Loc as a cowboy,
Yeah.
I do not want to see that. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't want to see it. I don't want no part of it. Right. So,
Yeah.
um, all right, we're going to move on to Private Swede Johansson, played by Peter Cook. And that's Koch. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Um, small role, but a big role because he's a big guy. How did you think he did here?
I think he did what he needed to do. His main role there was just to be like this mythical guy that's gonna get out of the brig and solve all our problems. He's gonna take care of Highway. So he was there to be big and intimidating. I love the way that his character's switch flipped when Highway beat his ass. He showed humility, and later on he showed loyalty.
Yeah.
And that happened pretty quick because he was like, okay, hey, you're a better man than me. And and I'm only saying this half seriously, but he took Highway took Swede out so quickly that when the staff sergeant came in later in the movie to try to offer these guys a deal
Yeah.
and get Highway bounced out of the platoon, and Swede walks up, I thought, is staff sergeant going to reach around and just knock Swede out and then turn back around and finish the deal? Or
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're like, he's not as tough as he
right,
seems.
he's strong, but I don't
Yeah.
think he can fight too well.
Yeah. This guy's he's huge, man.
Oh, he's a mountain.
He ends up being a decent troop. I really like you said, the part, it's almost like he's like, hey, the Marines, this thing is not for me. And he's been in trouble. He's a private. He's in this
Yeah.
platoon. The rest of these guys are like E3 or 4. He's just a private. And
Hmm.
so when Clint Eastwood takes him down, he's like, I'll wait for the police, or what do they call them in the Marines?
Oh, MPs.
The
I'll
MPs.
wait till
Or
the MPs
yeah,
arrive.
he said MPs. So
Yeah.
um, I know in the Navy they have a different name for military police, right? I'm
Mhm.
thinking so. But anyway, so yeah, he says I'll just wait outside for. He was like, get in formation, right? So he
Yeah.
proved himself. He's like, I'm going to treat you fine. You got to get on board with it, right? And he does. Becomes a good guy. The M60 though, it's
Mhm.
a crew serve weapon. No one's gonna. People think who haven't been in the military, they're thinking, oh, anyone who's big, you just give them the biggest machine gun they can hold it. Like that's not
Yeah.
how it works, right? Other roles, I don't believe I've ever seen him in anything else.
Mhm.
No, but he did a good job in this part. I'm moving on
Yeah.
to Lance Corporal Forgetti. This is the guy with the sunglasses who's wearing sunglasses in
Yeah.
formation, and it's a very small role, but because of the funny part of that scene, he's wearing sunglasses all the time, indoors, outdoors, at the start of the movie. And it's almost like this is his defiance. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't want to be here. I'm not really in the Marines. And he wears those sunglasses. And in the first formation, um, uh, Highway takes him off, puts him on the ground, and smashes him with his boot. So it's a great scene there. Small role, but the guy was a good smartass, and I love his attitude, just the way he's acting. He played well as a guy who's like, man, I don't even want to be here. I'm not on board with any of this crap. And he was one of the big instigators to say, hey, Swede's going to whoop his butt when he gets out, right? So other roles, I don't think I've ever seen him. He probably's been in some stuff. What'd you think about? And I didn't give his name. This is Vincent Irizarry.
Yeah.
So how'd you think he did?
Yeah, not a lot to add. I mean, he was good for what he was there for. He was more a prop for Highway to act against. When he crushed those sunglasses, I love when Highway was like, uh, "You shouldn't litter, spaghetti. It's ecologically unsound." That's like you said. That's the biggest thing I remember about him is just being there when Highway crushed his sunglasses.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another small role. This is Corporal Profile. We don't even have a name. They just call him Profile, played by Tom Villard. Now, I included him here, Mike, because this is the guy who doesn't make it back from
Yeah.
Grenada, right? So got to you had to include him. How did you think he did, Corporal Profile?
I thought he was memorable, definitely as the goofiest one in the platoon. He was likable, and I think you're going to be right with me on this because I wanted to kick him out of the platoon after the rifle range scene. This guy was supposed to be a recon Marine, and he was less competent than most recruits arriving at Paris Island or San Diego. And we're going to get more into this later, but I was this that part took me out of the movie. Even Highway, given how he was, who he was, he'd have been like, "Hey, I'm sure there's something out there for you, but you don't need to be a Marine."
Yeah,
At that point,
yeah,
unfortunately, Tom Villard, the actor,
yes,
passed away in 1994
really.
at age 41 of AIDS-related pneumonia. It's sad because that was less than a decade after Heartbreak Ridge came out. The only other movies I could find, and I haven't seen either one of these, maybe you have, Steve, in terms of My Girl and One Crazy Summer. I think One Crazy Summer was popular. I haven't seen it.
My Girl, I've seen that movie. I can't remember too much about it. Definitely can't remember him in it.
Yeah,
But yeah, so yeah, that's a shame about him. It's a small role. I like the scene on the range because I mean, for a couple reasons.
yeah,
It gives Highway a chance to motivate him when they're punishing him on the way back, right? So
yeah.
he's got to run around the formation
Hmm.
while the formation's marching. So he's going two or three times the distance as everyone else, holding his weapon above his head and all this stuff. Um, and he falls down at one time, and then Highway motivates him. He gets back up, and he's like, well, the major says, what did you say to him,
Uh-huh.
to make him get back up, and he said, don't give the bastard the pleasure or something, right, talking
Don't
about the
give the
major.
prick the
Yeah, yeah,
satisfaction,
yeah,
sir.
right. Yeah. So yeah, that was a good scene there. So
That
um
was.
all right, favorite scene. This is your pick. What's your favorite part of this movie, man?
Sure. Um, when Gunny Highway first arrives at Recon Barracks, which was essentially a Quonset hut, and that those couple of Marines sitting outside told him that they didn't speak English, and so he walks in and he turns off the radio that's blaring, and then a Marine walks by, or what? One of the Marines outside come in and flip
Yep.
back on the radio,
Yep.
and then he just takes the whole radio. Which was a boom box popular back in the 80s and 90s, and he just throws it completely across the squad bay and smashes it against the wall. And later in that scene, when they go to the actual living space, he rips Stitch Jones' earring out of his ear while he's wearing it.
Yeah.
Um, it in a close second, I would say the first time he had all the Marines in formation, and he gives them the nicknames, and like we talked about, he crushes Forgetty's sunglasses. They were small scenes, but there were so many entertaining scenes throughout the movie. Those are just a couple that I love the lines and I love the acting.
Yeah, yeah, dude, we're right on point with this one. His first introduction to the platoon, throwing the radio, breaking the pool stick.
Yeah.
Um, it was cool. It was Eastwood toughness.
Oh yeah.
It was funny, regardless of however unrealistic it was, right? But I
Sure.
mean, it was just funny. And what I'm saying unrealistic for everyone is there wouldn't be guys who made into recon platoon, they would be squared away,
Yeah.
Marines. They
Yeah.
wouldn't be a bunch of bums who like trying to do nothing, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, great scenes. I'd like to give two honorable mentions to good scenes. Taking down the Swede when the Swedes first showed up, and
Mhm.
that was a great scene because Swede is a big dude, right? Um, and so that was a really great scene. And then overall, the scenes when every time they come to formation and they don't have the
Uh-huh.
same shirt as he does,
Oh
he
yeah.
makes them take their shirt off and they're shirtless.
That was awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. It's like how many different shirts does this guy have? But then Stitch figures out, right, to hey, Mary's doing his laundry, right?
Mhm.
And he sees her at the bar and he's like, you know, she's like, I'm awake every day. So he figures he makes a deal with her that he can call her, I guess, say, what shirt's he wearing today? So they can all show up in the right shirt. And then the great part is then the LT shows up and he's the only one with the wrong shirt on.
He's just got on a plain white t-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been great if he made him take that off, but he didn't, right? So
Yeah.
all right, so we agree on that. That's good stuff.
Sure.
Least favorite part or stupidest scene, man.
Mhm.
I'm going to start here. Everything about the military and the combat scenes was so unrealistic,
Mhm.
and within a year or two of this, with Full Metal Jacket and Platoon having just surrounding this coming out around that same era, I can't believe anyone would believe or even like I can't believe Eastwood wasn't like if he saw those movies
Right.
and I can't believe he wouldn't say, "Hey, I wasn't in the military." I don't think he was. Um, and I'm directing this movie. We need a military advisor. I can't
Mhm.
believe you wouldn't do that unless he said, "Hey, this is more just pure entertaining with a lot of funny stuff in it. I don't want to do a serious drama war movie like because I've got other stories I'm telling here." So maybe it was on purpose, but I just like the M60 thing and all that. Like I can't the way they're doing things military wise and the lack of discipline in for the recon platoon of those guys would all be I mean in
Mhm.
huge trouble acting like that, right? So Article 15 is up and down.
Oh yeah.
So that being said, any of that military stuff for me, so that's a big chunk. I almost can't even mention one part. What about you for least favorite or stupidest scene, man?
I think if I went to one specific scene, and I'm sure we'll agree on this, when Gunny Highway comes up behind the platoon, and he absolutely, I mean, I even rewound it. I said, no, that can't be right because I've seen this movie so many times. He absolutely fires live rounds directly at the platoon. There's no way he didn't hit any of them because at
That's
first now if he had just fired around the platoon, it's like, okay, he was he flagged the entire platoon and emptied a magazine. There's no way that it didn't hit him.
yeah, yeah. I mean, were they trying? Because every time I've seen that, I'm like, is he's shooting over their head? He's got to be trying to shoot up, but we're just not getting it. The angle that they shot that
Yeah,
scene, that's not good. But it looks like he's shooting right at him, right?
absolutely.
So agreed, man.
And and
Agreed.
to your point, if I had to think about it, because you mentioned the other movies, now I'm seeing this more as the love child of like Stripes and Full Metal Jacket. It's sort of like if you took a sort of tongue-in-cheek movie and then you mixed some serious action in. Because definitely one thing you have to overcome if you've been in the Marines, you're going to enjoy the movie is to pretend none of these guys have already gone through boot camp because they are completely incompetent in every way. They can't shoot, they don't know tactics, they're out of shape. I don't care if you've just graduated Paris Island and done nothing else, you're going to be able to do some basic things.
Yeah, I'm thinking, man, they needed a military advisor on that, and
Yeah.
otherwise, you could do it without the Marines, almost to say, hey, here's a story about a guy who's coming to the end of his career and who's bitter about it and who wants to get his wife back. I mean, I don't know. I know it's so wrapped up in the thing, but I just feel like anyone who's in the military, I would bet who has been in the military is like, God, there's so much of this that's hard to watch,
Yeah.
because of the fact, which surprises me because I'm really a big Eastwood fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's so anyway, yeah, there you have it. So we're in a lot of agreement there. What additional comments do you have, man, about this movie?
Well, one thing is very small, but it's the very first time that I have noticed this. I noticed a technical error at Aggie's house. When Gunny pours a beer,
Mm-hmm.
it goes from no head to a thick head back to no head in the span of about 10 seconds. And my
Oh,
parents owned a bar when I was growing up. So I was watching how much foam was on top of the beer when he poured it. And that's the only reason when I was watching that, I noticed it. So if you're watching just that little scene, you can tell they did several takes.
sure, sure.
And I mean, no big deal. It happens in all movies. Um, like you were talking about, need a technical advisor. The military initially thought the movie just sent the wrong messages about discipline and respect, and they refused to cooperate. I think the Marines gave Clint Eastwood some cooperation at Camp Pendleton, gave him some access, and then after watching the final cut, Marine Corps officials called the film too vulgar, withdrew their support entirely, and the Marine Corps distanced itself and withdrew its endorsement. You and I both know, whether you're talking about the Marines or the Army, uh, those Marines that withdrew their support knew that Marines aren't Boy Scouts,
Yep.
and they're there to do a job, and you're not necessarily going to have the most squeaky clean individuals that can make that happen. So that's unfortunate because it has become one of the most uh, loved Marine Corps movies, even with all its flaws. And I agree, I absolutely agree with you in terms of everything. Um, that has issues with it. The last thing I would say, and you alluded to it earlier, Steve, the title is pulled from one of the bloodiest battles of the Korean War. It happened in 1951. The battle lasted over a month, and it was for control of a single hill. And that hill changed hands over and over during the course of that month. A lot of men died. So
Yeah, yeah, that was the real battle of Heartbreak Ridge. It was fought in Korea.
yeah,
It was the 23rd Infantry Regiment. It was the Army. So it was not Marines. But I get it. My understanding is this movie was originally they were trying to wanted to do it um as Army originally, but the Army didn't agree with it because they were wanting them to do 82nd Airborne is what I had heard and read a little bit about. Um, but I don't know all the politics of when if a uniformed service agrees or decides to endorse or not endorse or whatever a movie. But yeah, 1983 it was Operation Urgent Fury. There were Marines there. The 22nd Marine Amphibious Unit was there. 75th Ranger Regiment was there, and 82nd
mhm.
Airborne was there with Navy SEALs and of course Air Force support. So there were Marines there, for sure. But like I think almost the entire 82nd Airborne Division probably jumped in there. It was a big deal. Like they definitely went an overkill in there. So with way more people than they would have really needed probably. So now the credit card airstrike. This is the part where Stitz pulls out all his plastic, his credit cards, and they actually
Hmm.
get a phone line because they can't reach anybody by radio. Um, that is apparently a true story. And I had heard of that story. I had heard when I was in
Yeah.
the military, people said that was someone in the 82nd Airborne.
Hmm.
But from reading a little bit, doing a little research, it was supposedly either a Navy SEAL or an Army officer. We don't know from what unit, but it would have had to
Hmm.
be if it's on either 75th Ranger Regiment or someone in the 82nd Airborne. So um, calling Fort Bragg or else Hurlburt Field, which is an Air Force facility, depending on what story you believe. I don't know why there's differing stories on that, but you can follow different threads. So there was a situation, and it sort of was cool that Eastwood or whoever decided, hey, let's put
Hmm.
this in there. Like some guy gets, because we heard this quirky thing and how they had to get an airstrike in to get support. And it's pretty cool because if you go in and first, if you're just watching this movie and you knew nothing about it, you'd be like, that is BS. There's no way that
Oh,
you would
sure.
do that. But it actually happened. So ingenuity there, right? And that's what
Yeah.
Highway says: adapt, overcome,
Hmm. That's
improvise,
right.
right? So that's what they did in that part. So um, another additional comment I have real quick here is now I can't even remember the guy's name, and I'm not going to sit and pick up my phone and look it up real quick here. But
Mhm.
this is a connection to Vision Quest. The supply sergeant who's trying to give Gunny Highway hookups when he gets back to
Mhm.
his unit and said he can get him contraband and or whatever he's wanting to get him, or hook him up with extra stuff. That is Elmo from Vision Quest. That is
Oh,
that
wow.
yeah, I recognize it because we had just done Vision Quest recently, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, that's Elmo right there. That's something else he's been in that I would have never put together, right? So
No.
um, but definitely was him. So all right, man. So we want to talk about the message, the lesson, if there's any moral to the story. We always tell ourselves, man, if there's not a message or a moral to the story, why would we want to watch it, right? So
Hmm.
um here's what I get. So um uh respect your elders and those who have been through things. Okay. So,
Hmm.
so meaning this is the lesson for maybe major powers needs to get people like him. Hey, like your schooling and you went to the academy and all these, like, hey, listen, you got to people who've done it before. Don't think you're a know-it-all, right? So respect your elders, people who've been through it, and take advice from them. Don't be a know-it-all who does everything by the book either, because like major powers, again, everything's black and white.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, as we all know, who've spent a little time on this planet, right? You have to operate in the gray by what the highway says: improvise, adapt, and overcome adversity, right? So,
Right.
so that's the message I got out of this. What do you got, man?
Yeah. Hey, great point. I think that's a really good message. The one that I got, I was kind of looking at Gunny's kind of transition throughout the movie. And if you base your entire life on only one thing, whether it's the Marine Corps or something else, you may find yourself with nothing in the end. And he's fighting his own regrets and his aging and his loneliness. Like you said right at the beginning, Steve, he put the Marine Corps above everything, even what he was there to protect, like his wife, and
Yeah.
he was losing it all, and now he's trying to figure out who am I and what am I after the Marines are done.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point because he put it all into the Marines, right? He put everything in the Marines, and then he realizes, hey, that's going to end soon. And we I think we see a lot of things like that where people these days, sometimes at places that we work at, we see someone who's been there, they put everything into this life, and it's almost their part of their identity. And then when it's time to
Hmm.
retire, they can't do it anymore. It's time to give it up. Sometimes, people have no sense of purpose and that affects them. And sometimes you see people, I hate to say it, but sometimes you see people who work way as long as they can, and then they get out, and then there's no more of that, and then it's like their body gives out because they're like, hey, there's no more purpose for being here, right? So,
Hmm.
so that's crazy. That's a good takeaway too. A big lesson. So what is the lesson from that then? From what you're saying, is that like, hey, give your best effort at things, but don't make anything your identity. Is that what you're saying?
I think the big takeaway for me is that there are many aspects to anybody's life, and you have to, going back to the Karate Kid, you have to have balance.
Yeah.
You can be an excellent Marine or soldier. You can be an excellent father or husband, but you have to look at, hey, I need to give more energy here, and maybe that's going to take a little bit away from here. When you're on deployment, you have to be 100% into the deployment. But when you're stateside, that's when you're like, hey, now I have to give back. I have to give back to my spouse, my kids. So it's about not over leveraging yourself in any one area of your life.
Yeah, there you go. Good. That's Daniel San in the waves, right? Learning
Yeah.
balance, right? There you go. Good message, man. Good message. I'll give you credit for that one. So take on it now, like now that you saw it way back in the day, and you saw it before you were in the Marines, right?
Yeah.
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 So you saw it before you were in the Marines, then you went through the Marines, and then you realize how unrealistic it was for sure. What's your take on it now? Watching it for this, how is that different? And would you tell someone, "Hey, watch this movie or trash it"?
Sure. No, no, and we've kind of walked through it by this point, but I found that I had to suspend disbelief more now, like you said, before I went in the Marines, than when I was younger. And in terms of how the inept platoon was already supposed to be made of Marines, once you get past that, you're like, okay, it's a movie. You can absolutely watch it and enjoy it. So I would definitely say watch it. Looking at it now, I think the issue was that Clint Eastwood probably, and this is just me guessing, I think he wanted to do a boot camp movie. And then I think he also wanted to do a war movie. And so in the end, I want to say this was a compromise between showing us a group of Marines who really just ended up in the Marine Corps without going through boot camp. I mean, that's what we ended up with.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the issue that you and I have. And I even read through multiple reviews of this movie where people refer to the Marines as recruits. And so it shows you that outsider perspective. They didn't think these were really Marines when they
yeah,
were watching it.
yeah. Like they're brand new, waiting around to be told what to do or something
Yeah,
almost. But yeah, but that goes to show, people haven't been in the military, they just don't know about some of those stuff. So
sure.
all right. So I'm going to say watch it once if you haven't seen it. Now,
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you, if I watch it again, anytime that I watch it again, besides getting ready for this podcast,
Yeah.
it would be because there's like I'm scrolling through channels. Yeah, I still have channels on cable, people. I still do. I'm scrolling, and people, my sons are like, just stream something if you want to watch it. Go look it up and stream it. I'm like, hey, I've got patience, and I can deal with the world the way it is, but I can also deal with the way it used to be. Sometimes, hey, if it's not on the scrolling through channels, I come on it and Heartbreak Ridge is on and it's
Yeah.
half over and there's nothing else on, I'll finish Heartbreak Ridge, right? So
Uh,
that's sort of it. It does have its funny parts, which would be why, okay, I'll watch the rest of this if I come across it. But the lack of realism just kills it. It kills me. But again, you would say if it kills you so bad, Steve, why would you even watch it if you find it sitting there playing on cable? Because I can suspend that disbelief because I know it. I'm not like expecting a realistic movie when I watch it. So watch it once if you haven't seen it, people. So we're gonna give this thing a rating, 5 ratings, man. Um, the worst is Bathroom Break. You don't even need to be in the room. The second below average movie is No Snacks. I'd say an average movie here. You can drink a Coke. And above average Coke, some popcorn, and the greatest movies, Coke, popcorn, and for me, it's a box of Raisinets, Mike. But a box Coke, a popcorn for the excellent movie, and a box of whatever your favorite movie theater candy is. I know you go with the Goobers, correct?
oh yeah.
All right. So what's your rating, man? This is your pick. What do you got?
Okay. Well, I like to mix it up.
Yep.
So I'm going to say, but I have to caveat this
Okay.
before I give the rating, because I think you coming from the Army, I think you will agree with this. You can watch and enjoy Stripes and realize, like, okay, that's not real Army, and that would
Yep.
never happen, but you can
Yep.
enjoy it.
Okay.
That's kind of the way I look at this movie.
Okay.
Um, so I am going to give it, in honor of the Marine Corps, I'm going to give it a canteen of water from a water bowl, an MRE with anything except omelet with egg, omelet, and for dessert instead of goobers, I'm going to have freeze dried fruit in place of my usual goobers, just because of the nostalgia and Clint Eastwood's performance. It still gets my highest rating.
Okay, your highest rating. So,
Highest rating.
oh gosh. So I'm thinking of when you're saying I think of worst MRE meal at the time
Yeah.
for me. I was in the late '80s, early '90s.
Mhm.
Was chicken a la king. Like if you get this, I'm like immediately trying to trade away.
Dude, you and
But
I would get along so good because I would give you my omelet and take your chicken a la
oh my
king.
gosh. So yeah, I'm okay for my rating. Like I said, the lack of realism kills me, but it's got some funny parts. I'm going to give it a
Sure.
Coke. I'm going to give it a Coke. I'll sit and watch it, like I said. And
Mhm.
one thing about when I'm on my cable now, Mike, and sometimes I turn on a movie, it'll say, "Hey, do you want to play this from the beginning?"
Yeah.
Right? It'll stop and say, we can play this from the beginning for you since you stopped here." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, just play it from here."
Hmm.
So whenever I walk in on it, I'll play it from there. I'll sip a Coke. So, all
Yeah.
right, there you go. There's the rating. So we're not on the same sheet with that one. So, but we did wrap that one up, man. So,
Yeah.
good deal on that. Mike gives it the highest rating probably because he was in the Marines. But hey, it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
Gonzo gives it a Coke, right? So there we go. Hey, we're going to wrap this up, Mike. Thanks everyone for listening to Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR. If you enjoyed it, follow or subscribe, whatever platform you're on. We appreciate it. Share it with someone, whether they're a movie lover or whether they're just an enthusiast of the 80s or 90s, right? Whatever. If you have a movie you'd like us to watch, or if you're a super fan and maybe want to be a guest, or if you just have a comment you want to throw at us, or even tell us what your favorite cereal was back from the 80s, Mike, shoot us an email.
Mm.
Um, I'm thinking, I don't know. I've got to go between Lucky Charms and maybe Captain Crunch Berries, right? Crunch Berries.
Yeah.
So shoot us an email at gonzomikevcr@gmail.com. That's GONZOMIKEVCR@gmail.com. I'm going to check that once daily for you. Um, Additionally, feel free to leave comments on your platform, Spotify, Apple, whatever. You can leave comment. Leave us if you're on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up as well. Leave us a comment. We'll try to respond to those as well. We've added some polls to episodes if you're a Spotify listener. So let us know your thoughts. Those polls are usually open for about 10 days or 2 weeks. If you have a friend, like I said, who loves movies, share the show so you can listen and discuss afterwards whether you agree with us. Probably agree with me more, but maybe you agree with Mike every now and then.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that being said, so in our next episode, if all goes as planned, Michael, we have a super fan who wants to be a guest host for her absolute favorite movie of all time, and it's a 1985 movie. Tell them what it is, Mike.
I want to say this is the movie that made Michael J. Fox a movie star. We are going back in time to the 80s to Back to the Future.
Okay, so we're going back in time to go back to the future.
That is right. So
All
that
right.
may be actually put us right where we are now. If
Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
That is the plan, unless something drastic happens. We're planning on that. So that should be a fun one. And again, that's with a super fan on here, a guest. So, all right, folks. Well, that's a wrap. I'm Gonzo.
Mike.
Until next time, keep watching movies. Gonzo, Mike, and a VCR is produced by Gonzo and Mike. All rights reserved.